The first time I went on a business trip with my boss, I slept with him. Afterward, knowing I was totally screwed, I rushed to draw a line in the sand. So, just pretend this never happened. I won't hold it against you. But to my surprise, my boss, who was usually the definition of cold, actually looked a little hurt. He grabbed my wrist. What? You sleep with a guy and now you won't take responsibility? I woke up, and my world came crashing down. I glanced down at my stark naked self under the covers. Then I looked at Leo, my boss, who was standing with his back to me, smoking by the floor-to-ceiling window. I felt my entire being just shut down. Oh, for the love of God. Holy crap. How did I get here? Didn't I book a standard room? When did I end up in my boss's presidential suite? I anxiously rolled around under the sheets. Leo heard the rustling and turned around. His voice was as pleasant as ever, with a magnetic quality to it. You're awake? I covered my burning face and mumbled an MHM. How could he be so calm? I seethed. Since you're up, get something to eat. I just ordered breakfast from the hotel. Oh, okay. If he could be calm, I could pretend to be calm. But on the inside, I was screaming, crying, and clawing at the walls. He was acting like nothing happened and asking me to have breakfast. Weird. So weird. Was this the same guy who was always stone-faced at the office? The quiet, aloof man I was too intimidated to even breathe loudly around? The Ice King who everyone respected and feared? I snuck glances at his expression while fumbling around for my clothes. It wasn't until Leo tossed a bathrobe onto the bed that I realized he was also wearing one. And our clothes were scattered on the floor. It was a disaster scene. I silently grabbed the robe, threw it on, and scurried into the bathroom without daring to look at him. I'm just going to go wash up. Once I was in the bathroom with the door locked, I could finally breathe. I splashed my face with cold water, trying to clear my head, but my thoughts were still a tangled mess. What have I done? Did I really sleep with my boss? This is my boss. I looked up at the mirror. The reflection showed a girl with a flushed face, messy hair, and a few suspicious red marks on her collarbone. Every piece of evidence forced me to believe it. I slept with my boss. What the hell happened last night? Oh, right. I remember now. It was my first business trip with Leo. After we successfully closed the deal, the client took us out to dinner. I took a few shots for Leo at the dinner party, and then... Ugh, stupid brain. Why can't I remember the rest? Did I make the first move, or did he? Or was it a mutual pounce? How did I get from my standard room to his penthouse suite? I'm dead. Socially, at least. I'm so dead. I dawdled in the shower, and after getting ready, I... Deep breath, deep breath. Okay, open the door. Leo had already changed and was sitting at the dining table, leisurely eating his breakfast. Hearing the door, he looked straight at me. I clutched the corner of my bathrobe, so mortified I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. It's going to get cold if you don't come over. Leo gestured to the breakfast on the table. Oh, coming. I'm the one who's cold. I started shuffling my feet again. The 5-meter walk from the bathroom door to the dining table took me 10 minutes. Leo watched me, his gaze traveling from my legs to my waist, finally stopping somewhere. Specific. Did you get hurt last night? He asked with a frown. I frowned, too. Huh? Hurt where? Then it hit me. He thought I was shuffling because I was sore. Down there. My face instantly erupted in flames, and even my ears felt hot. Well, no. I wanted to explain, but the words wouldn't come out. Forget it. I'll just keep my mouth shut. Oh, wait, I can't. I have to eat. Leo had finished his meal. He left me with a take your time, then crouched down to pick up the clothes strewn all over the floor. I'd only taken a couple of bites when I heard him clear his throat. Then he called my name. Mandy. Huh. I looked up. Do you have any spare clothes? I quickly glanced at the pile on the floor and asked timidly, are yesterday's clothes? Yeah. They're unwearable. You ripped them. Leo was still kneeling on one knee, looking up at me. The pose was a little like a proposal. Ugh, what am I thinking? I froze for a second, then processed what he'd said. I ripped them? No way. I'm a girl. I'm not that strong. You must have ripped them. Leo sighed helplessly. It really was you. It was you. Leo was the first to back down. There's no point in arguing about this now. Fine. Luckily, I always pack a couple of extra outfits. I was about to head back to my standard room, since my suitcase was still there. Leo eyed the bathrobe I was wearing and raised an eyebrow. You're planning on going out like that? I looked down at the plunging V-neck and high-slit white robe, which did absolutely nothing to hide the smattering of marks on my neck. My ears started burning again. Is this even a respectable hotel? What kind of establishment provides bathrobes like this for its guests? I hesitated at the door. Going out like this wasn't impossible. If I ran fast enough, I probably wouldn't run into anyone. I gritted my teeth and opened the door. Before I could even step out, Leo grabbed my hand. Give me your room key. Huh? I didn't get it. What did he mean? Was he going to get my clothes for me? Whoa. He really isn't acting like himself. Just yesterday, on the way here, I was dragging my suitcase and carrying a briefcase. At security, I couldn't get my ID out, so I asked him to hold my briefcase for a second. He just gave me a cold look and a frown. Can't you even manage your own ID and luggage? Leaving things until the last minute and fumbling around? Even though he did end up taking it, his knitted brow and tight lips made his annoyance clear. From that, I drew a conclusion. Leo doesn't like being bothered. And now he was actually offering to help me? Seeing me frozen in place, Leo must have thought I didn't hear him. He explained, I'll go get it for you. You finish your breakfast. Oh. I numbly handed him the key card and sat back down. The breakfast was truly cold now. Not that I had much of an appetite anyway. Who has time to think about food right now? Leo returned quickly, pulling my suitcase behind him. Thanks. I dragged the suitcase into the bathroom, changed as fast as I could, and came back out, my face still flushed. So, I was about to bring up what happened last night. I even had a script ready in my head. First, I'd acknowledge the fact that we, did the deed. Then, I'd craft my words based on his reaction. If he showed even the slightest hint of interest in me. I could get used to this lifestyle. I mean, he's got the body and the looks of a god. But if... well, that's fine too. We're both adults. Some things. You just get it, you know? No need to make a big deal out of it. Besides, Leo is handsome, and he's my boss. No matter how you look at it, I wasn't the one who lost out. I had just started, but Leo cut me off. Let's go. The car is waiting downstairs. His expression was blank, his voice tinged with a coldness that was a world away from the man who had just asked me to breakfast and fetched my suitcase. He was back to his usual cool and distant self. I silently clamped my mouth shut. This was the real Leo. That other version was just too strange. To think I'd secretly hoped that maybe, because we'd slept together, he... Looks like I was overthinking things. It's cool. I can take a hint. A free one-night stand with a hot guy? An absolute win. On the flight back, Leo leaned against his seat with his eyes closed. I snuck a few glances at him from the side. Deep-set eyes, a high-bridged nose. He was devastatingly handsome. My eyes drifted downward to his chest, which strained against his shirt. Just a moment ago, I said I could take a hint. Suddenly, I wasn't so sure I could. It would be a shame to let him go. My inner deviant was rearing its head, but then I remembered Leo's cold expression and tone. Forget it, forget it. He's the boss. My job is more important. A workhorse like me needs money to survive. The last thing I needed was to piss him off and get myself fired. That would be a huge loss. I acted completely composed the whole way, never mentioning what happened. Leo also acted as if last night never occurred. This is the unspoken agreement between adults. I breathed a secret sigh of relief. When we landed, the company car was already waiting for us. As I was about to get in, Leo glanced at me and said flatly, "You don't need to come to the office this afternoon." I froze mid-step. Is he kicking me to the curb now that I'm no longer useful? Using me and then tossing me aside? This boss was ruthless. I just helped him close a huge deal yesterday, and I even took shots for him. Even if I don't get credit, I at least put in the effort. And just because I, did that with him, he's going to fire me? It's not even clear who pounced on whom last night. For all I know, he enjoyed it. I clenched my fists, getting angrier the more I thought about it. I gritted my teeth, turned around, and asked, "Am I getting a severance package?" "What?" Leo frowned. After a pause, he added coldly, "You worked hard on the trip. Take the afternoon off to rest." A few choice curse words did a little dance on my tongue before I swallowed them back down. My tone instantly became light and cheerful. "Thank you, Leo. Long live the boss." I was in a great mood when I got home. I hummed a tune as I plopped onto the sofa and ordered myself a massive takeout feast, complete with bubble tea. A long-awaited calorie bomb. It was bliss. Then I found a good reality show to watch while I ate. It had been so long since I'd felt this relaxed. Long live cheat days. My good mood lasted all afternoon, except for when I was showering that evening and saw the faint marks on my collarbone. Looked like a dog bite. That's right. A dog. The next day, I went to work full of energy. But as soon as I got to the office, I noticed the atmosphere was off. My usually lively colleagues were all sitting bolt upright. Even Jenny from the next desk, who loved to gossip, had her back straight, eyes glued to her screen, fingers flying across the keyboard. I leaned over and asked her, "What's going on? Is some big shot visiting?" Jenny put a finger to her lips, shot a furtive glance toward the break room, and then pointed at Leo's office. In a hushed voice, she said, "It's him." "Leo?" Jenny nodded, pouting. "He keeps going to the break room. This is his 8th trip out here this morning." I was confused. What's so weird about going to the break room? Maybe he's just thirsty today. "Leo's office has everything," Jenny said, rolling her eyes at me. "Wine, coffee, tea, you name it. Why would he need to come out here and fight with us for the public water cooler?" As she spoke, Leo emerged from the break room with a mug in his hand. He swept his gaze coolly across the office, his eyes pausing on our section for a split second before moving on and disappearing back into his office. The moment he was gone, every straight back in the office slumped, and the furious clatter of keyboards ceased at the same time. It was hilarious. I couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter. Jenny nudged me with her elbow, her expression a mix of frustration and disappointment. "You can still laugh? Don't you see what's happening? He's deliberately coming out to check on us, to see if we're actually working." She gritted her teeth. Evil capitalist. I couldn't stop laughing. I waved my hand. "Come on, it's not that serious. Leo is a busy man. I doubt he has the time to micromanage our work day." As I spoke, it dawned on me. Something wasn't right. He probably wasn't coming out to check on everyone. He was coming out to check on me. He was definitely afraid I'd spill the beans about what happened a few days ago and ruin his image. After all, how could a handsome, rich, aloof, and successful young CEO be associated with a scandal involving an employee? If someone with ill intentions got a hold of it, the rumors could get ugly. They might even accuse him of coercing his staff. That's why he was coming out so often, to see if I was spreading rumors about him. No wonder he glanced in our direction. It was a warning. I stopped laughing. Jenny saw my expression turn serious and assumed I'd finally come around. See? You get it now, right? Looks like we can't slack off for a while. There's a pair of eyes watching our every move. She was right about the eyes. I shrank in my seat, a chill running down my spine. For the next few days, I did my best to avoid Leo. I turned myself into a timid little mouse, trying to be as invisible as possible. I also noticed that Leo seemed to be in a bad mood lately. He was like a walking iceberg, lowering the temperature of the entire office. Everyone tiptoed around, afraid to even breathe too loudly. We were all walking on eggshells. One day, the VP called me into his office. It turned out a project our company had in El City was at the acceptance stage, and someone needed to go check on it. But the colleague who had been in charge of the project with the director had called in sick, and the matter couldn't be delayed. So, the VP asked me to go with the director. To be honest, this project wasn't my responsibility. I had followed it for a short period in the beginning, so I had a general idea of it. Normally, I would have said no. It wasn't my project, so I wouldn't get a bonus, just travel expenses. Worse, if I signed off on the acceptance, I'd be on the hook if something went wrong later. It was all risk and no reward. My first instinct was to refuse, but then I thought about the tense atmosphere in the office. I gritted my teeth. Okay, I'll go. The director told me to go home and pack, and he'd have a car pick me up from my place shortly. I nodded, happily grabbed my bag, and headed home. As I left the office, my colleagues looked at me with envy. I was pretty envious of myself, too. Even though I was wading into potentially messy territory, at least I was getting out of the office for a bit and away from the iceberg's glare. I packed quickly. The director was a manager, after all, and I couldn't keep him waiting. Sure enough, the driver called me just as I finished packing. I rolled my suitcase downstairs, where a black SUV was already waiting. I put my luggage in the trunk, then pulled open the back door. Huh? Am I seeing things? Why is Leo sitting in the car? What's going on? Are we dropping him off at the office first before we leave? I hesitated, not sure whether to get in or not. Leo gave me a cool look. Not getting in? I am. I dutifully climbed into the car. There were only 3 of us, the director wasn't there. I braced myself and asked, where's Director's son? I thought I was going on this trip with him. Leo replied, Director's son had a last-minute meeting. I'm going with you on the trip. You really don't have to. Are you kidding me? The 2 people actually in charge of the project aren't even going, and 2 substitutes are going instead. Besides, it's just a small project. Does the big boss really need to go in person? Just as the awkwardness was settling in, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Jenny. Good news. The Ice King is on a business trip. I can finally breathe. I replied, bad news. The Ice King is on a business trip with me. I'm so scared I can't even fart. My mood plummeted to several degrees below zero. Jenny was silent for a moment, then sent a sympathetic emoji. A moment later, she added, you should still fart. Holding it in is bad for you. Go away. We drove to El City. I tried to keep as much distance between myself and Leo as possible, leaning against the car door to avoid any accidental physical contact. The line between us was crystal clear. The 5-hour drive was mind-numbing. My eyelids kept drooping, and I just couldn't stay awake anymore. I snuck a peek at Leo, who also had his eyes closed, and felt safe enough to close mine. We arrived in El City quickly. I must have been in a deep sleep because Leo had to wake me up when we got there. When I woke up, I was sitting perfectly upright against the seat, my posture impeccable. I breathed a sigh of relief. Good. The driver had already taken out both my luggage and Leo's. I thanked him politely, then turned to see Leo clutching his right sleeve with one hand, his movements awkward. Is something wrong with your arm, Leo? As an employee, it was my duty to show appropriate concern for my boss. Leo's expression stiffened for a second. It's nothing, he said flatly. Good. Duty fulfilled. The rest wasn't my business. Leo and I checked into the hotel. As we were waiting for the elevator, I happened to notice that the part of his right sleeve he was covering was a little damp and had a red stain on it. Looked like lipstick. I subconsciously touched my lips. It couldn't have been me, right? I was sleeping so primly, I didn't even drool. Wait a minute, drool? I glanced at Leo's sleeve again. It couldn't be, right? How embarrassing would that be? My heart started pounding, but since Leo didn't say anything, I pretended I hadn't seen a thing. The person hosting us in El City had booked Leo a deluxe suite. I, riding on his coattails, got a room right next to his. That evening, the project manager hosted a dinner for Leo. It was the first time the big boss had come in person, so they had arranged a lavish spread with top-shelf liquor. Everyone took turns toasting Leo. He tried to refuse at first, but eventually, he had no choice but to drink several glasses. I kept a close eye on the situation. This was my cue. Why else do bosses like to bring their subordinates to dinners? It's so someone can take the shots for them. I stepped up and took the next few rounds of drinks meant for Leo. Damn, this was good stuff. So smooth. The meal was winding down, and the drinks were almost gone. Everyone at the table who was supposed to be drunk was drunk, and my own feet felt a little unsteady. The El City project manager, slurring his words, clapped me on the shoulder and gave me a thumbs up. Mandy, you're a real one. Your tolerance. You're a champion. My head was spinning, my mind a fog. I clapped him back on the shoulder. Next time we'll have to, hey. Before I could finish, Leo pulled me away. You're drunk, he said, his face a mask of coldness. I'm taking you back. The sudden movement made me stumble, and I instinctively grabbed onto his body to steady myself. Whoa, are these abs? I couldn't resist giving them a little squeeze. TSK, what a nice texture. My hand traced the lines downwards until it was suddenly caught. What are you doing? His voice was strained as if he was speaking through gritted teeth. Just a little touch, don't be so stingy. I looked up indignantly, my eyes landing on his sexy Adam's apple and a sharp, defined jawline. Damn, he's handsome even from this angle. I started swooning, completely forgetting where I was. Leo's face was grim. He turned to the colleagues from El City and said, "That's all for tonight. Everyone get some rest." Oh, right, there were other people here. I hope no one saw me copping a feel of the boss's abs. Leo led me toward the elevator. I was unsteady on my feet, swaying as I walked. Leo wrapped his long arm under my armpit and around my back, so I was practically hanging off him. Hee, no one else in the elevator now. I looked up at Leo. He was staring straight ahead, his nose high and proud, his thin lips pressed together, his Adam's apple bobbing. It was so sexy. I was completely mesmerized and my hand started wandering again. Mandy, what are you doing? This is your room. Get inside and go to sleep. Why are you following me into my room? Are you trying to take advantage of me while you're drunk again? Mandy, let go. You. Emmempich, you're a girl. Can't you have a little self-respect? Don't rip my shirt. Ah, be gentle. You little delinquent. I covered his mouth. Shut up. And concentrate. I woke up. And what a coincidence. There was Leo, wearing a bathrobe again. I turned my head, stared at the white ceiling, and counted to 3. I was a dead woman. The floor was once again a disaster zone, torn clothes, a disheveled him, and a me who wanted to die. Leo was sitting on the sofa by the window, watching me with a placid expression. Looking into his eyes, I had a feeling this wasn't the worst part. The worst part was, I remembered everything that happened last night. Crystal clear. How I got into the room, how the clothes got torn, how he ended up pinned to the bed by me, how I pounced on him. I even remembered the details. Was I drinking fake alcohol yesterday? Why didn't I black out? Am I really this wild when I drink? I used to be such a good drunk. I'd always just go home and sleep it off. Why have I lost control the last 2 times? I couldn't figure it out. I was baffled, and I felt so guilty. I didn't dare to look Leo in the eye. I burrowed under the covers and called out to him, "Leo, could you please hand me some clothes?" A bathrobe was passed over. I put it on and, once again, fled to the bathroom. I turned on the shower and, under the running water, mentally beat the crap out of the person in the mirror. This is what you get for taking shots for him. This is what you get for getting drunk. Don't you know your own limits? The last time was because you took shots for him, and then. And now again. I wanted to slap myself. How can a person make the same mistake twice? I dawdled in the bathroom again, delaying as long as I possibly could, until I finally emerged, ready to face my doom. I had to face it eventually. I steeled myself, walked over, and sat down across from Leo. Leo. I was at a loss for words. But Leo spoke first. Are you hungry? What would you like to eat? His expression was normal. He even had a hint of a smile when he looked at me. Here we go again. The weird, out-of-character Leo was back. The Ice King was smiling. How terrifying. It felt like there was a knife hidden behind that smile. I shivered. This time, I was really going to be packing my bags and leaving for good. I tried to fight for my survival. I'm sorry. Leo. Last night. Let's just pretend it never happened. I promise I won't tell a soul. I kept my head down, not daring to look at him, trying to keep my voice steady. Leo didn't say anything. Silence. The silence was deafening. I couldn't help but sneak a peek at him. Why did he look? Kind of hurt? And a little dejected? You've slept with me twice. Are you really not going to take responsibility? Huh? My eyes went wide with disbelief. I never expected him to say something like that. It was completely out of character. Shouldn't he be throwing a check at me and telling me to get out of his life forever? Leo's gaze was intense, as if he was trying to see right into my soul. My jaw dropped, and I stammered, How? How do you want me to be responsible? Leo was quiet for a moment, then said, Shouldn't we at least put a label on it? A label? Did I hear him right? I laughed nervously. Leo, you're kidding, right? My hand, which was gripping the edge of the bathrobe, had crumpled the fabric. Do I look like I'm kidding? Leo stood up, walked over to me, and leaned in, looking me straight in the eye. Can we? His loosely tied bathrobe gaped open as he moved, revealing his sexy collarbones and chiseled abs. I couldn't look at him directly. I averted my gaze in a panic. I need to think about it. The words were out before I could stop them. What was there to think about? He's handsome, has a great body, is rich, and in bed, he's so. What was I hesitating for? But I'd already said it. If I suddenly changed my mind now, would he think I'm flaky? I bit my lip. Fine, I'll pretend to think about it for a couple of days. The next time he brings it up, I'll say yes without a moment's hesitation. I miscalculated. Leo never brought it up again. A week had passed. At the office, Leo was still his usual cold self, maintaining a perfect, professional distance between us. There was absolutely no communication beyond work matters. I analyzed the situation. He must have suggested we make it official in a moment of weakness, given the circumstances. Now that he'd had time to cool down, he regretted it. What a typical player. I shot a glare in the direction of Leo's office. Men really do think with their dicks. Even if I was the one who forced myself on him, it takes two to tango. And it was his fault for being so damn handsome and tempting me in the first place. I was just drunk. I made a mistake any woman in the world could have made. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I gritted my teeth. No more drinking. I have to quit. I channel my frustration into my work, trying to keep myself busy so I wouldn't have time to overthink things. If I can't have the man, at least I can have the money. And as it turned out, hard work pays off. I exceeded my performance targets for the month, ranking first in the entire department and winning the company's incentive award for the first time. Holding the bonus slip, I almost cried. Money, you've never let me down. I invited my department colleagues out to dinner, my treat. But my colleague said, you should keep that for yourself. The company's having a team-building event in a couple of days. We'll definitely take advantage of the company's dime instead of making you spend your own. What an amazing colleague. I was moved to tears again. I waited eagerly for 2 days, and finally, the day of the company retreat arrived. The location was a campsite with a barbecue area. The company rented a bus to take everyone there. Jenny scanned the bus and let out a sigh of relief, patting her chest. Thank God the Ice King isn't coming. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have any fun today. I nodded. If he were going, I definitely wouldn't have gone. I really didn't want to see him lately. When we got to the campsite, our eyes lit up. Wow, the company really went all out. Look at all this food. The place was set up with a great vibe. A long table covered with a tablecloth was laden with a dazzling array of food. The admin department really came through this time. They finally did something right. Jenny rolled up her sleeves, ready for action. I just learned how to make a new fruit wine. It's amazing. I see all the ingredients here. Want me to make some for you guys to try? Yes. Yes. We have to try it. Everyone was super supportive. People started opening bottles and chopping fruit. In no time, Jenny's special fruit wine was ready. She added ice cubes and handed me a glass. Mandy, try some. I was about to take it when I remembered my vow to quit drinking. I pulled my hand back. I think I'll pass. I'm trying to quit drinking. Jenny's eyes widened. Quit drinking. Did I hear that right? You're actually quitting? I nodded firmly. Drinking leads to trouble. I'm really quitting. All right then. It's a shame someone's going to miss out on my amazing wine. Jenny shook her head and took a sip from the glass herself. After drinking, she made a tisk sound. So good. I swallowed hard and looked away. Don't tempt me. I'm weak. The barbecue got started, and my colleagues were all raving about Jenny's fruit wine as they grilled meat. I didn't know Jenny had this talent. This is really good. This tastes just like juice. Even I, who don't usually like to drink, can have a few sips. It's great. As I ate my barbecue, my eyes kept drifting toward the wine. Everyone says it's like juice. One glass won't hurt, right? But I just told Jenny so confidently that I'd quit. If I drink now, I'll look like a total hypocrite. Two little figures were fighting in my head. After a long debate, I finally gave in. Okay, I'll just sneak a glass when Jenny isn't looking. Just to taste it. I stealthily grabbed a cup, filled it to the brim when Jenny wasn't paying attention, and then slipped away from the crowd to hide behind a big tree. Ha ha ha, alcohol is the nectar of the gods. Here I come, my sweet elixir. I was just about to take a sip when a hand suddenly snatched the cup from me. What the? I looked up to see an enlarged version of Leo's handsome face right in front of me. He was holding my drink, frowning. You know what you're like when you drink. You're not allowed to drink when you're out anymore. Isn't he overstepping a little? He's just my boss, not my husband. Who is he to tell me whether I can drink or not? I secretly rolled my eyes, but then I put on a smile and feigned surprise. Oh, Leo. What are you doing here? I thought he was supposed to be busy today and couldn't make it. Leo's expression was nonchalant. I finished my work, so I came to check things out. Leo's arrival put a damper on the party. The cheerful atmosphere became a bit strained. Leo probably sensed it too. He made a token toast to everyone, drinking 3 glasses, and then said he had something to take care of and had to leave early. I turned around and let out a secret sigh of relief. But before the air was even fully out of my lungs, I heard Leo ask the group, I just had a few drinks, and this place is pretty remote. It's hard to get a designated driver. I was wondering if any of my colleagues could give me a ride. Everyone looked at each other, and then, as if on cue, all eyes turned to me. I suddenly had a very bad feeling. Sure enough, 1 second they were my amazing colleagues, and the next, they were selling me out without a second thought. We all just had a drink. I think Mandy is the only one who didn't, right? Mandy just got her driver's license not too long ago. She'll be fine to drive. I slowly turned around to see Leo nodding. That works. As it happens, I have a few questions about that last project I wanted to ask Miss Tang. Great. With 1 sentence, he had blocked all my escape routes. I gripped the steering wheel of Leo's Ferrari, my face an expressionless mask, my eyes fixed on the road. It's not like we had anything to talk about anyway. The sooner I dropped him off, the better. The car was silent except for the occasional direction from the GPS and the sound of our breathing. It was so awkward I was tempted to speak. But in a situation like this, whoever speaks first loses. I had to hold back. I had to win this. I glanced at the GPS. 40 minutes until we reached the destination. Suddenly, time seemed to stretch on forever. I was fidgeting in my seat, feeling like I was sitting on pins and needles. If only people could fly. My mind was a jumble of random thoughts, and I didn't notice Leo had turned his head to look at me. Want to listen to some music? I was taken aback for a second, then nodded eagerly. Some music would be good. It would make things less awkward. Seeing me nod, Leo turned on the stereo. It was only then that I noticed how well proportioned and long his fingers were. I wondered what they felt like. I had almost forgotten the sensation. Wait. Stop. What am I thinking? When I snapped back to reality, my cheeks were burning, and my ears felt hot. Leo looked at me. Are you hot? No, not hot. I forced myself to stay calm, my eyes still glued to the road. What's wrong with me, having these thoughts in broad daylight? I tried to distract myself and realized the song Leo was playing was very familiar. You like this song, too? Leo grunted in agreement. I've started liking it recently. That got me excited. This artist has a few other great songs. I highly recommend you check them out. Is it this one? Leo switched to another song. I nodded vigorously. Yes. That's the one. I can't believe we like the same songs. Leo just smiled and didn't say anything. It was then that I realized he might think I was trying to cozy up to him with that last comment. I reined myself in a bit, and for the rest of the drive, we made sporadic, light conversation. Thankfully, the 40 minutes passed quickly. When we arrived at the entrance of his residential complex, I asked, Leo, should I drive the car in for you? Leo seemed to be lost in thought. I had to ask him twice before he responded. Yes, please. Drive it down to the underground parking garage. I followed his directions and parked the car, then grabbed my bag and turned to leave. He called out to me again. Mandy, could you do me a favor and walk me up? What did he just say? Seeing my confused look, he quickly put a hand to his forehead and explained, I think I'm a little dizzy. I don't know if it's motion sickness. My mouth twitched. Can a CEO get motion sickness in a luxury car? But since the boss had asked, it wouldn't be right for me to refuse. So, I resigned myself to my fate and helped Leo into the elevator. Leo was unsteady on his feet, half his body leaning against me. I finally just draped his arm over my shoulder. Leo, are you carsick or drunk? You can't even walk straight. Leo froze for a second. Both. I pursed my lips. If I remember correctly, you were drinking fruit wine earlier, right? Leo coughed uncomfortably. Luckily, we had arrived at his apartment. I helped him inside, settled him on the sofa, and picked up my bag again. Well, Leo, I'll be going now. But as soon as I turned, Leo grabbed my bag. Mandy, you must be tired after driving for so long. Would you like something to drink? You can rest a bit before you go. He was inviting me to stay. This was not normal. Not normal at all. I turned around and stared at him. Leo looked away, then got up and took 2 glasses from the kitchen island. You wanted to drink, right? My treat. He was offering me a drink. Had he forgotten the lessons from the last 2 times I drank? My suspicion was plain on my face. Didn't you tell me not to drink when I'm out? A blush slowly crept up from Leo's neck. This is my home. It doesn't count as out. And you can drink whenever I'm around. He definitely had ulterior motives. I kept my eyes fixed on him. Leo avoided my gaze, busying himself with the wine glasses. Or do you want fruit wine? I can make that too. A theory started to form in my mind. Do you have feelings for me? I asked tentatively. Do you like me? Leo was silent for a moment, then finally turned to look at me. Haven't I made it obvious enough? Now it was my turn to be speechless. Obvious? Liking someone meant putting on an ice-cold face all day and making them guess? I told him my definition of what liking someone looked like. If you like me, you should at least let me know. He looked genuinely surprised. But I did tell you. When did he tell me? Could it be that time he asked me to give him a title? Damn it. I could have kicked myself. I knew I shouldn't have said I'd think about it. I should have just said yes right then and there. But it was too late to take it back now, and I wasn't about to admit my mistake. When I said I'd think about it, you should have asked me again, I said stubbornly. Leo's eyes dimmed a little. You said you'd think about it, but you never gave me an answer. And you were avoiding me. I thought. Well, isn't that just great? I thought he didn't like me, and he thought I didn't like him. We'd been torturing each other for half a month. Now I finally understood how annoying it is to read about main characters who don't know how to use their words. I face-bombed. Leo's hesitant voice came again. So, are we still having that drink? I looked up and nodded. We are. Leo's eyes lit up. He quickly poured 2 glasses of wine and handed one to me. Be a little more gentle this time. And stop ripping my shirts. They're quite expensive. Seeing my silence, Leo quickly backtracked. I can take it off myself. Don't worry, I promise to cooperate this time. I won't resist. We made it official. Leo successfully moved up in the ranks and became my boyfriend. The title he wanted, I finally gave it to him. Leo seemed even happier than I was. He was always trying to get me to have a little drink with him. I told him I'd quit drinking. Leo's disappointment was visible. Does that mean I'll never get to experience the joy of having my shirt ripped off again? Is he some kind of masochist? Didn't he say his shirts were expensive? I stroked my chin and went online to look up some new tricks. Leo watched the new tools I bought arrive and started to tremble. Mandy, what are you planning? Don't you come near me. In the end, we didn't get to try them. He threw all the tools away. As it turns out, I'm still no match for Leo, who's a regular at the gym. Which brings up another question. How did I manage to overpower him the first 2 times? I was curled up in Leo's arms, thinking about those 2 accidents, and felt the need to clear my name. You know, I'm not always like that when I drink, I said, trying to defend my honor. Usually, when I drink, I'm very well behaved. I don't even look at other men. Worried he wouldn't believe me, I added, you can ask the people in my department. They've all had drinks with me. I may not have hard evidence, but I have witnesses. I thought I had made myself clear, but why did Leo suddenly look so upset? He gritted his teeth. They've all had drinks with you? Oops. I quickly tried to explain. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not the kind of woman who gets promiscuous after a few drinks. So far, you're the only one I've, with. Leo's expression finally softened, and he pulled me closer. From now on, no drinking unless I'm with you. I nodded. No more, no more. I said I was quitting anyway. Besides, I'm the boss's girlfriend now. What drinks could possibly require my personal attention? Life after getting a boyfriend didn't change much for me. But Leo changed a lot. Jenny whispered to me one day, do you think the Ice King has been possessed by a ghost? He's been like a breath of fresh spring air lately, always smiling. I held back a laugh. Maybe something good happened to him. Like, he got a girlfriend? Jenny shook her head vigorously. No way. With the Ice King's personality, what kind of girlfriend could he possibly find? After a long rant, she stroked her chin thoughtfully. What do you think it would be like to be the Ice King's girlfriend? What would it be like? I thought about it seriously. It would probably be waking up in the morning to his gentle smile. Having hot coffee and late-night snacks on my desk when I work overtime. Even our little arguments taste sweet. Jenny was still muttering to herself. I secretly pulled out my phone, looked at the lock screen picture of him stealing a kiss from me, and a smile unconsciously spread across my lips. It's probably the feeling of being completely and utterly cherished. Leo's epilogue. There's a delinquent at my company. The first time I went on a business trip with her, I never knew a girl could be so strong after a few drinks. Me, a 6'2" guy who practically lives at the gym, couldn't even pry her hands off me. I could only let her hang on me like an octopus, groping me all over, and then, Don't worry, I don't have a cold. It's just that I can't describe what happened below the neck. I was so humiliated. The most infuriating part was that when she woke up the next day, she seemed to have no memory of forcing herself on me. She even had the nerve to suggest that I was the one who ripped the clothes. I tried to act calm. It's not like I'd ever been in this situation before. As soon as she went into the bathroom, I quickly grabbed my phone and logged into my burner social media account to look her up. When I took over as CEO, I didn't add any of my subordinates as friends to maintain my powerful boss persona. But I secretly had a burner account, and I had my assistant add most of the company's employees. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will win 100 battles. The same applies to managing people. I secretly clicked on the little delinquent's profile. I needed to get a better understanding of her. After all, we'd already slept together. I had to take responsibility. Besides, she's quite pretty. As a girlfriend, I suppose she's barely worthy of me. Oh, I found it. The little delinquent likes overbearing CEOs. She's shared a lot of CEO romance novels. That's right up my alley. Wait, what is she reading? If a CEO isn't cold, he's not a good male lead. The cold, handsome god's pampered little wife. She likes the cold type. That fits my usual persona. Right, was I being too gentle when I spoke to her earlier? No, I need to be colder from now on. I have to make a good impression. That woman. She slept with me and then acted like she didn't know me. I went out to the break room 8 times this morning, but she avoided me every single time, as if she was afraid I'd make her take responsibility. How could she do this? She's been driving me crazy these past few days. I have to find a time to confront her. Wait, it looks like she's going into the VP's office. I quickly pretended to get some water and walked past the VP's office door. Oh, she's going on a business trip with Director Sun. I stroked my chin, then turned around and scheduled a meeting for Director Sun. Then I took the driver and went on the business trip with her instead. I have to say, this delinquent can really hold her liquor. Throughout the dinner, I was both worried she'd drink too much and also secretly looking forward to it. I wondered if she'd. When she got drunk again. She did. She did. She's just as strong when she's drunk. I was pinned underneath her, half-heartedly resisting as she tore open my shirt. That night, watching her sleep, my heart was pounding. Is this feeling love? If it is, then I think I've really fallen for her. Besides, we've already been so intimate. It's only natural for us to be together, right? I tossed and turned, my mind racing, wondering if I should tell her how I feel. After a whole night of debating, I finally made up my mind. Tomorrow, I will definitely confess to her. I confessed. I asked her if she could make it official. But she seemed reluctant, hesitantly saying she needed to think about it. Okay, I get it. She said she'd think about it just to save my pride. It was a gentle rejection. Back at the company, she was still avoiding me. I was a little sad. My first time confessing to someone, and I got rejected. What a failure. I asked a friend for advice. What do you do when the girl you like rejects you? My friend made fun of me for a while, but he did give me a viable solution. It boiled down to 2 things. Be proactive and be persistent. What do I do? I don't know how to do either of those things. But I can learn. I looked up a bunch of tutorials online. Oh, there's one about reconnecting and breaking the ice at a class reunion. Wait, what is this? Why are these 2 hiding in the back of the auditorium during a meeting and... Ugh, my eyes are tainted. I'm going to get a sty. I forced myself to watch for a while and finally found a solution. To take a relationship to the next level, you can't escape a party. The employees haven't had a get-together in a while anyway. I might as well organize a team-building event. No sooner said than done. I immediately called the admin department. Luckily, the admin department was very efficient and made excellent arrangements. On the day of the event, I was held up by some work. By the time I got there, I realized the situation was a bit beyond my expectations. Why do we have so many employees? With so many people here, how am I supposed to find a chance to be alone with her? Forget it. I'll just take her with me. You all know what happened next. Anyway, I finally got the title I wanted in the end, hee hee. Alright, that's enough from me. My wife is about to come home from working late, and I've already set the table. Now I need to hurry up and take a shower. Later tonight. Ahem, it's not suitable for all ages, so I won't say any more. See you around.